Hello, you're listening to Midnight Whisper, a gentle, safe space to unwind. Settle in if you like, or just stay as you are. Let the words flow gently into the background and ease into the quiet. Ancient isles and whispered histories. The boat reaches the island just after noon. Not many people get off. Most stay seated, watching the dock without much interest. The island looks smaller than it once did. Or maybe it has stayed the same and the memory has grown. The air smells of salt and old wood. Somewhere nearby, wind moves through the palm trees, slow and patient. The sound has not changed. A narrow road runs from the dock towards the village. It curves gently, following the shape of the land. The houses are simple. Some have fresh paint, some have none at all. A few people sit under the shade near the small shop. They speak quietly, as if the afternoons is too warm for strong voices. A bicycle leans against the wall. Its front basket holds nothing. It looks like it has been waiting a long time. She walks with a small bag and a key. The key feels heavier than it should, metal warmed by her hand. The house is not far from the water. It sits slightly back from the shore behind a line of trees. When she reaches the gate, she pauses, not because she is unsure, only because the place is familiar in a way that takes time to enter. The gate opens with a soft sound, wood against wood. The yard is smaller than she remembers. The ground is uneven. A few stones sit where they always sat. Some things do not move, even when years pass. The front door has a narrow window. Its glass is dusty. She puts the key in the lock and turns it slowly. The door opens. Inside, the air is cool. The floor cools the feet immediately. Light enters sideways through open curtains. It touches the room gently. The house smells like paper, wood, and the sea. The kitchen is on the left. A small table, a kettle, 2 cups in the cabinet. The living room is on the right. A chair by the window, a folded blanket, a small radio that no longer works. And then, farther in, is the library. The library is still there. Shelves line the wall from floor to ceiling. They are uneven now. Some lean more than they used to. The wood is darker than she remembers, or perhaps the light is different. Boxes rest on the table, cardboard softened by time. The tape has yellowed. Dust sits on the corners as if it were placed there on purpose. She sets her bag down quietly. No one is here to greet her. No one is here to ask her questions. Only the house. Only the sound of wind outside. She takes a slow breath and sits at the table. The first box is not labelled. It doesn't need to be. She opens it without hurry. Inside, letters lie stacked carefully. The paper is thin. Some edges curl upwards, as if trying to remember their shape. Most are written in careful handwriting. Ink pressed firmly, but not heavily. The words feel measured. A few postcards sit beneath the letters. Images of places nearby, harbours, hills, a lighthouse at the edge of the island. The dates vary, years apart, sometimes only weeks. She does not read everything at once. Instead, she lifts one letter, then another. She notices stamps, postmarks, the way the envelopes are folded. The simple things, the things that remain when a voice is gone. Outside, a bird lands briefly on the railing. It looks in through the window, then leaves. Dust shifts in the light as the afternoon moves on. The room's light slightly. The island breathes. She opens one envelope carefully. The papers inside folded twice. The fold lines are sharp, like the letter has been opened and closed many times. The handwriting is steady. It begins with a greeting. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent. The letter mentions the weather. It says the rain came late that season. It says the mango tree near the harbour is producing fruit again. It says the sea was calm that morning. There is a sentence about a boat that did not arrive on time. Another about a neighbour who repaired a roof. The letter ends with a short goodbye. No signature at the bottom, only a name written softly, as the writer did not want to take too much space. She places the letter on the table. She opens another. This one is shorter. The paper is thicker. The writing is slightly different. The words are still careful, but the lines are closer together, as if the writer had more to say than this page could hold. It mentions books. It mentions sending a package. It mentions a story someone heard in a different town across the water. Nothing is explained. Nothing is defended. The letter simply exists. She reads slowly, not because it is difficult, only because speed would feel wrong. Outside, the light shifts. The afternoon becomes quieter. The sea is still visible through the trees, beyond the window, a soft movement of leaves, a distant sound from the harbour. Life continuing without attention. She opens the box further. More letters, more postcards, a few photographs, black and white, edges bent. One photograph shows the harbour, not the harbour she knows, an older version. Fewer buildings, more open space. In the photograph, the water looks brighter, or perhaps the film simply caught the light differently. She turns the photograph over. A date is written there, and a sentence, simple. Clear day. The boat came early. She set it aside. She takes out the postcards. One shows a lighthouse. Its paint looks fresh in the image, almost white. Another shows a narrow street in a town she recognizes. She remembers walking there as a child. The postcard only has a few words written on it. Not a message, more like a note. Still warm here. The sea is quiet. That's all. She places the postcards in a neat row. Not in order, just together. From the window, the water moves steadily. It does not react to being watched. A sound from the kitchen. Wood settling. Nothing more. She stands and walks slowly through the room. The floor creaks once under her weight, then stays silent again. She touches the edge of the shelf. Dust comes away on her finger. The books are arranged carefully, not by size, not by colour, but by something else, something private. She recognises a few titles. Some are old English books, some are history books, some are small novels with faded covers. There are dictionaries, language books, a few thin books with handwritten labels. She pulls one out. It is a notebook. Inside there are lists, books borrowed, books returned. Some titles appear more than once. Some names repeat. The handwriting changes slightly over the years, not suddenly, but gradually. She turns the pages. The ink becomes darker in some years, lighter in others. The spacing changes. The writing remains careful. This notebook is not a diary. It is not a confession. It is simply a record, a quiet proof that people came here, that they borrowed books, that they returned them, that time moves slowly forward. She closes the notebook and places it back where she found. The island does not require sorting, only attention. She returns to the table and sits again. The letters remain. Patient. She opens another envelope. This one contains 2 pages. The second page is folded inside the first. The writing is slightly rushed. There is a line about the sea being rough, a line about a storm that damaged the pier, a line about a friend who promised to visit but never did. Then near the bottom, a sentence that makes her pause. It mentions her grandfather, not by name, by description. The man with the books, in quotes. This is what the writer calls him. The man with the books still collecting postcards, the letter says. He says they are small windows. The letter ends shortly after. She sits still for a moment. The phrase stays with her. Small windows. That feels right. That is what postcards are. Small windows. A way of seeing without travelling. A way of remembering without speaking. She looks around the library, the shelves, the table, the boxes, the chair by the window. The whole room feels like a held breath. Not tense, just contained. She stands and opens the curtains wider. The light enters more freely. The dust in the air becomes visible. Tiny particles moving slowly, not chaotic, almost graceful. She takes the blanket from the chair and drapes it over her shoulders, not because she is cold, only because it feels like the correct thing to do in this room. She returns to the table. The next box is labelled. The label is old tape with writing in black ink. The writing is her grandfather's. She recognizes it immediately. The label says, Postcards North. She opens the box. Inside are postcards, stacked neatly. More than she expected. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Each one separated by a thin piece of paper. Careful, protective. She takes the first postcard. It shows a mountain town. Snow on rooftops. A narrow road. The message on the back is short. It mentions a train. It mentions a small cafe. It mentions the sound of bells in the morning. She takes another. A city street at night. Lights. Crowds. The message says only, "Too bright. I miss the island." She takes another. It's a temple. A garden. A pond. The message says, "Quiet place. Thought of you." No name. No explanation. Just that. She continues. Each postcard feels like a small breath, a small piece of another life. Not dramatic, not romantic, just real. She begins to notice something. Some postcards have the same handwriting. Others are different. Some postcards are signed. Some are not. Some have stamps. Some do not. Some are written in English. Some in another language. Some contain only numbers, a date, a time, coordinates. She pauses. Coordinates? She reads them again. They are not random. They look like map coordinates. She flips through a few more. More coordinates. Not on every postcard. Only some. She sets those aside. A small pile. The rest remain in the box. Outside, the afternoon begins to soften. The sun moves lower. Shadow stretches across the floor. She hears the sound from the distant village, a door closing, a voice calling, a dog barking once, then silence again. She looks at the pile of postcards with coordinates. There are 7 of them. Only 7. She studies the images on the front. A rocky shore, a small pier, a hill with trees, a narrow path, a lighthouse again, a quiet beach, a small stone shrine, all the places on the island. She recognizes them, not clearly, but enough. They are places she visited as a child, places her grandfather took her. She remembers walking behind him, his slow steps, his hand behind his back, his habits of pausing to look at the sea. At the time, she thought he was simply enjoying the view. Now she wonders if he was remembering something. She turns over the postcard. The coordinates match a place near the harbour. The message says, "Start here." That is all. She turns over the second, and it says, "Follow the path." The third, "Listen for the bell." The fourth, "Look for the stone." The fifth, "Wait until the light changes." The sixth, "Not far now." The seventh, "Return." She sits back slightly. The story is not loud, but it is there. Her grandfather has left something behind. Not a secret in the dramatic sense, not a treasure, not a mystery meant to be solved with urgency. Something quieter. A trail, a walk, a sequence of places, a way to move through the island with attention. She does not feel excited, not in a sharp way. She feels steady, as if the island has offered her a small task. Not heavy, not urgent, just present. She gathers the 7 postcards and places them carefully into her bag. She closes the boxes again, not because she is finished, only because she is pausing. The house remains calm. The library remains. The shelves hold their weight. She steps outside. The air feels warmer than the room. The faint smell of seaweed and damp earth. The sky is partly cloudy. The sun appears and disappears behind moving clouds. She closes the door and locks it. The key returns to her pocket. She walks down the path towards the village. The stones under her shoes feel familiar, not because she remembers them, because stones always feel like stone. She passes the small shop. The people are still there. They glance at her briefly, then return to their conversation. No one stops her. No one asks her. No one recognizes her without ceremony. She reaches the harbour. The first postcard said, "Stand here." The coordinates lead her to the edge of the pier. There is a small sign now, warning about slippery surfaces. The pier boards are darker from years of water. She stands where the coordinates suggest. She looks around. Nothing obvious. No mark. No hidden object. Only the harbour. Boats tied gently. Ropes creaking softly. Water moving in small circles. Then she notices it. A bell. Not the harbour bell, a smaller one, hanging from a post near the pier. It is old, rust around the edges. It does not ring unless touched. The third postcard said, "Listen for the bell." But she is here at the first. Still, the bell is present. She looks at the post, carved in the wood. Low near the base is a small mark. Not a word, not a symbol. A circle with a line through it. She touches it. The wood is rough. The mark is worn, as if many fingers had traced over it in time. She steps back. She looks at the postcard again. Start here. Perhaps it means start paying attention. She walks away from the pier and follows the narrow road along the shore. The second postcard said, "Follow the path." The coordinates lead her to a small trail between trees. The entrance is partly hidden by leaves. It looks like a path used by locals, not a tourist path, not marked, just there. She steps onto it. The ground is soft. Leaves cover the soil. The air becomes cooler under the trees. Sunlight breaks through the small pieces. The path curves. The sea becomes less visible. Bird sounds become clearer. A few insects. Nothing sharp. Nothing sudden. Just the island speaking quietly. She walks slowly. Not because she is tired, because the path asks for slow steps. After several minutes, she reaches a clearing. A small open space. A stone sits there, not large, not dramatic, just a stone, half covered in moss. The postcard said, "Look for the stone." She stands in front of it. On the stone is another mark, the same symbol, circle with a line. She looks around. There is no box, no note, no message, only the stone, only the air, only the sound of leaves. She realizes something. This is not a puzzle. It is not about finding something hidden. It is about returning to places that hold memory. The island is not giving her answers, it's giving her moments. She stands there for a while. The light changes slightly as clouds pass. She hears distant water, not the sea, a small stream nearby. She takes another postcard, the 5th. Wait until the light changes. The coordinates lead her farther along the path. She continues walking. The trail rises slightly. Not steep, just enough to make the air feel different. Her breathing remains calm. The trees thin out. The sky becomes visible again. She reaches a hill. From here, she can see the sea. The harbour is small in the distance. The village roofs, a few boats, the water stretching outward. She stands at the coordinates. The wind is stronger here. It moves her hair gently. She holds the postcard in her hand. Wait until the light changes. She looks at the sky. Clouds move slowly. The sun is partly hidden. Then, after a few minutes, the sun breaks through. Light spills across the water. The sea becomes bright in one long strip. The island looks different in that moment. Sharper, cleaner, as if the edges have become drawn again. She understands. This is what her grandfather meant. Not an instruction, not advice, a simple invitation to notice, to let the island show itself. She stands until the light shifts again. Then she takes the 6th postcard. Not far now. The coordinates lead down the hill towards the lighthouse. The lighthouse stands at the edge of the island, where the rocks meet the sea. The path is narrow. Wind moves stronger near the cliff. The sound of waves become louder. Not violent, just firm. The lighthouse is not tall, not like ones in movies. It is practical, paint worn, door closed, a small window. She reaches the coordinates. They lead her behind the lighthouse. There is a low stone wall there, a place to sit. She sits. The stone is cool. The wind moves past. She looks at the water. Waves hit the rocks below, then fall away. Again and again. The rhythm is steady. Her mind becomes quiet without effort. She takes the 7th postcard. Return. The coordinates lead her back to the village. Not the house. Not yet. A different place. A small shrine near the trees. She remembers it. As a child, she walked there with her grandfather. He always slowed down near it. He never explained why. She follows the path back. The sun lowers as she walks. The light becomes warmer. Shadows lengthen. The village sounds return. A dog, a door, a faint radio playing somewhere. She reaches the shrine. It is small, stone, a few offerings placed neatly, a candle, a coin, a folded paper crane faded from weather. She stands where the coordinates point, and she notices something new, a small wooden box behind the shrine. Not locked, not hidden, just placed there. It looks recent. She opens it carefully. Inside is a notebook, not the library notebook, a different one, smaller. Its cover is plain. She lifts it out. Inside, the first page has writing, her grandfather's handwriting. It is unmistakable. The words are simple. No explanation, no dramatic message. It just says, if you are reading this, you have walked this island again. There is a pause in her mind as she reads. The next line says, these places kept me calm. The next, these places kept me honest. Then, the library is not only books. It is people, letters, small windows. She turns the page. There are short entries, not daily, not regularly, just occasional. A few lines. One says, storm today, the pier is damaged. Still, the bell remains. Another. A child borrowed a book about stars, returned it with sand inside. Another. Someone sent a postcard from a city, said it was too bright. Another. Rain on the roof, quiet afternoon. The sea is steady. The writing is not sentimental. It is not trying to move anyone. It is simply the record of a mind that paid attention. She reads slowly. The pages continue. Some entries mention visitors. Some mention books. Some mention the lighthouse. Some mention the stone. Some mention the shrine. Then, near the middle, she finds something else. A list. Names. Not many, maybe 10. And beside each name, a short note. Not personal, not emotional. Just a small description. Borrowed poultry. Returned late. Left a postcard. Came once only. Quiet voice. She recognizes one name. A woman from the village. Older now. The shop owner's mother, perhaps. Another name feels familiar, but she cannot place it. Then she sees her own name written there, small, near the bottom, and beside it, a note. Came back. She stops reading it for a moment. Not overwhelmed, not sad, just still. The island's air moves around her. A leaf falls somewhere nearby. The shrine remains quiet. She closes the notebook carefully and places it back into the box. She does not take it. It belongs here. She stands and steps back. The sun is lower now. The sky has softened. Evening begins. She walks back through the village. The small shop is closing. The people outside have moved. A light turns on in one house, then another. The island prepares for the night. She returns to the house. The key turns again. The door opens. Cool air meets her. The library waits. She enters and closes the door. The room looks different in the evening light. The shelves cast longer shadows. The table looks calmer. The boxes look less like tasks and more like quiet companions. Then she sits again. She opens the first box. The letters. Now they feel different. Not heavier, not lighted, more connected, as if the island walk has placed them into context. She chooses one letter and reads it. The words about weather, a mango tree, the sea being calm. The letter is not exciting, but it is steady. She reads another, a line about books, a line about a package, a line about a story from across the water. She begins to see the shape. Her grandfather's life was not loud. It was not built on big announcements. It was built on small rituals, books borrowed and returned, postcards collected, walks across the island, moments of light changing, and the quiet habit of noticing. She opens another box. This one contains envelopes with different stamps, foreign stamps, some old, some newer. The letters inside are in English, simple English, not perfect, but careful. Someone was practicing. She reads one. It is from a young woman written years ago. The handwriting is neat. The letter says, "Thank you for the books. I read slowly. I like the stories. I want to learn English. I will send a postcard when I travel." The letter ends with, "I hope the island is calm today." She reads another young woman, different handwriting, similar tone, short sentences, simple. "I borrowed the book about the sea. I liked it. The words were gentle. I will return it soon." She pauses. She looks around the library. She understands now. The library was not only for the island. It was a small bridge, a quiet place where people came to read, to learn, to slow down. Not for drama, not for escape, for calm. She hears rain begin again outside. Light rain. The sound touches the roof slowly. The house becomes even quieter. She makes tea. She does not rush it. Kettle, cup, steam. She returns to the library with the warm cup in her hand. The tea smells simple. She sits. The rain continues. She reads another postcard. This one shows a city street. The message says, "I miss the sound of rain on wood." She smiles slightly. Not big, just enough. She continues sorting. Not aggressively, not like cleaning, more like arranging. She makes small piles. Letters by the year, postcards by place, photographs by scene. The work is slow. The work feels right. At some point, she finds an envelope tucked between two books. It is not in a box. It is not with the others. It looks like it was placed there deliberately. She opens it carefully. Inside, a single postcard. The image of the front of the island itself. A photograph taken from the water. The village visible. The lighthouse, a small white mark on the edge. The postcard is newer than the others. The colours are clearer. The paper is thicker. She turns it over. The writing is her grandfather's. It says, "If you ever forget the island, look at this." That is all. No signature, no extra lines, just that. She holds it for a moment. The rain continues. The tea cools slowly. The light in the room becomes softer as night arrives. She places the postcard on the table in front of her. Then she returns to the boxes. Hours pass without pressure. The rain comes and goes. Sometimes the roof is loud with it. Sometimes it is only a faint tap. rain remains steady. The library remains. At some point, the village outside becomes quiet. The last voices fade. The last scooter passes. The island turns inward. She finishes sorting one box completely. Letters by year, envelopes stacked neatly. She ties them gently with a soft string. Not tight, just enough to hold them. She places them back in the box. She writes a label. Simple. Letters. Early years. She sets it aside. She begins another box. This one contains postcards from the mainland. Many. Some from cities, some from small towns, some from places where she never heard of. The messages are short. They only often mention weather, food, a street, a train, a book. Sometimes they mention her grandfather, the man with the books. Sometimes they mention the island, still thinking of the sea. Sometimes they mention nothing at all, only a name, only a date. She realizes that her grandfather collected these not for information, not for proof, but for the feeling of connection without demand. A postcard is a strange thing. It's not a letter. It's not a phone call. It does not ask for a response. It simply arrives. It stays. I was here. I thought of you. Then it goes silent again. That kind of connection is gentle. It does not pull. It does not push. It simply exists. The rain slows. The house becomes still. She hears the sea in the distance, a constant sound behind everything. She closes the last box and stands. She stretches her arms slightly. She looks at the shelves. She feels tired, not drained, a quiet tired, the kind that comes from being present. She turns off the main light and leaves a small lamp on. The library becomes warm and dim. She walks to the window. Outside, the island is dark. A few lights in the village. The harbour lights reflecting faintly on water. The lighthouse blinking slowly. One blink, then darkness, then again. She watches it for a while, not thinking, just watching. Then she returns to the table. She sits again. She takes out one of the English letters. She reads it once. The simple sentences, the careful words. She thinks of the woman who wrote them. Young, perhaps, or not. Trying to express something quietly. Not love, not longing, just appreciation. Calm. A place to read. A place to learn. A place to breathe. She understands why the letters were kept. They are not dramatic, but they are human. She places the letter down. She closes her eyes for a moment. The rain has stopped again. The night air enters through the window, cooler now. She hears a distant bell from the harbour, once, then silence. She opens her eyes. She looks at the library. She knows what she will do tomorrow. Not in a strict way, not like a plan, more like a rhythm. Morning tea, a walk, sorting another box, reading a few letters, writing labels, opening windows, letting light change, letting the island move slowly around her. The work does not feel heavy anymore. It feels like continuing something that was already in motion. She stands and walks to the shelf again. She takes out a book, a thin one, a collection of stories. She opens it. Inside, there is a pressed flower, dry, fragile, still holding its shape. She closes the book gently and places it back. She smiles again, very slightly. Then she turns off the lamp. The library becomes dark. The house becomes quiet. Outside, the sea continues. The island holds its calm, and the letters, the postcards, the photographs, all of them remain. Not demanding, not asking, simply waiting the way the island always does.